Okay, this is ITS128. This is the last day of class. And so today I'd like to, again, go over assignment, or the final assignment. And I have created a new assignment 11, and with just one class where everything's in the form class, and I'm going to create classes from that. And so it should be a good demonstration, and I'll go slowly so you can look at my code if you need to. So let me share my screen. And here we are. Just going to make sure that I'm recording. Okay, I am. And so I'm going to go to my Dropbox and drop down what I have here. Let's see, final assignment start. Okay, I'm going to put this on the desktop. And let me unzip it. Extract all. And let me open it up. And I'm going to have to sign in. Okay, so I'm going to start this out just to see what it does. And okay, so I've got this application here. Load a file. We can go down and find a nice file down here in my debug, like this one maybe. And so that loads up some names. And I've got my find friend. I've switched it so when I hit the enter key here, it does the find friend. So I can, if I want to try to find Mary Smith, it says Mary Smith found and selected. And so there, in case I want to defriend or unfriend Mary Smith or whatever, I can add a name. And add a friend, and there it is, and it adds it alphabetically. Spell. Okay, and so I can delete also. Uh-oh. Oh, it's because I didn't have anything selected. Okay, I guess I didn't account for that case. Well, anyway, it's too bad it didn't get saved. Anyway, let's get started here. So there's just one form1.cs file, and that's this. And then the code. You look at the code. We see here, this is pretty tightened up. So, so we have the array declaration. This is the maximum number of elements that'll be in the array. It's the maximum number of friends that the array will hold. And we have an array here. It's a two-dimensional array, and I have my first free index value here that saves, that keeps track of the first free slot that I can use to add a name. Now I actually have these words left over here from when I actually to create this document, I created all my classes, got that to work, and then I collapsed all the classes back up into one form1.cs document. So I noticed that some of the stuff here is left over, but that's fine because it still worked. And then I have this change. This is a variable that keeps track if there was a change made to the array, and then that's going to enable saving the array to the file. Here's my add name event handler. If somebody clicks the add friend button here, it grabs the name. I have a validate name function. So basically my validate name function checks to see, well, let's look at it. It's down at the bottom here. Validate name right here. I take in the name, I check to make sure that there's a space, because there's got to be a space because it's got to be first name, last name. And I make sure that the index of the first space, is the same as the index of the last space. And what does that tell me? That tells me there's only one space, okay? And I only want one space because I only want one first name and one last name. And then this whole thing's got to be at least four characters. So somebody could have a 2-letter first name, no, 5, it's got to have 5. So somebody could have a 2-letter first name and a 2-letter last name, or possibly a 3-letter first name and a 1-letter last name. So you could presumably, you just use the initials of the last name, whatever. Okay, so, and this function, the way it works is if it returns just a null, or if it returns a string of length 0, if it returns a string of length 0, then it was valid. Otherwise, it sends back, it returns the error. Okay, it returns an error message. So to use it, you just check to make sure that what's returned is a 0-length string. And if it is, then I do this add name function, this add name method, and I do the same thing where if it returns a 0-length string, then everything was fine. Otherwise, there was a problem. Okay, and so I check that. As long as the return string is 0 length, then I go ahead and then that means that the name was added, and then this takes the array and populates the list box again so we can see it. And then it also sets this change happened Boolean variable equal to true, which will activate the save button. Okay, so here's my, this is the exit button, and this just asks to see if you're going to save the array again. This is the form load, and I load the form. I set the label equal to the file name. The default file name is blank, so it doesn't do any, doesn't set it to anything. It sets the name text box equal to blank. It already is, but it puts the focus on the name text box. I'm not sure that works, but anyway, this populates the list box, and so this first clears it, and then this loops through the array. Okay. I actually have another function here, which is unnecessary in this case. This function actually returns a string. So that means that I don't have to bother concatenating here. It's concatenated down in here. And let's take a look at get friends, because I actually popped this over into my my class when I created. Okay, so here's get friends. It's a method. It's a private method. It returns a string array, and this thing just it defines a string array, and then it loops through and inserts into the array the concatenated friends' names, first name followed by space followed by last name, and then it returns that list. So that's what gets returned here, and that's what gets returned up here when we are Let's see, it's way up here. When we load up the list box. So if you are writing this code, you would probably collapse. I mean, if you are looking at this code here and you're only doing assignment 11 and you're not doing the final assignment, you may end up putting this where it grabs out the array, it concatenates the array, and instead of it populating a list which gets returned, it can actually populate the list box directly. So that's what you'd have here. You wouldn't have this. You would just access the array directly right here. Anyway, but when you move it over to a class, it's nice to have that level of security there where the class just returns a list. The class doesn't give you access to the array. It will return what you want out of the array. This is unfriending. I've got a delete friend function. And this is the loading the file where I have a load array function and then I populate the list. So this is when I load the file from scratch. I load the array. This is the save file. I use the save. This write array will actually save the file. If we go down to these methods here that I've separated out these functions. Here's my add friend, and I take the name in. I split it. I make a first name and a last name. Here's where I do where I make the first letter of the first letter of the first name and the first letter of the last name be capitalized. That's what this does. And then here I loop to see if there's a duplicate, and I actually in this particular code here, I actually start at the top and go down. You may start at the top and go, or I start at the very top and I go from the highest indexed name to the lowest indexed name. It doesn't matter because I'm just searching through the list to see if I find a duplicate. If I don't find a duplicate, that means I've gone all the way through the list, and if I go all the way through the list from the bottom up or the top down, it doesn't matter. Here though, when I insert the name, I want to insert the name alphabetically in its proper position, and so to do that, I start at the bottom, and so that's why I start at the bottom here. I start at the very, it's the terminology. I start at the highest indexed name, which is the last name alphabetically. I start at the very last name alphabetically. Start with the Z's, and then I compare the name at that index with the name I'm trying to add, and if the name I'm trying to add should go before the name that I'm indexing alphabetically, then I shift the indexed name down to open up a spot above it. And I keep on doing this until I find the proper position for the name to be inserted. And when I do find that, there'll be an open slot there for it because I will have shifted all the other names down. And that will be at this index. I'm using this index variable, and it'll be at that index. And so I just insert the first name and last name there. And then at the end, I have to increment my first free index because I've added one more name into the array. And then I can return a blank because everything's fine. Otherwise, yes. Here we are. I was going over this add friend method. It's a private method which is used to add a friend into the array. And if everything works out fine, then I return an empty string. Otherwise, I return name already exists, which happens if you find a duplicate. Or if you do this try catch and you do something like you overflow the array or something and you catch it, it's just going to return the exception, the error message. Okay, but it won't die. Here's my find friend. Here's my delete friend. Again, I first find to see if make sure it's there, and this is a result of clicking on a text, the index. I better do if anyway. It's, I guess I can fix it later. I thought I should put this valid name. I think I will, if, because when you're deleting a friend, you're getting the full name in there. So if, so let me do string ERR equals valid name, new name, and then if ERR equals nothing, then you do all this. Otherwise, you return valid name not entered. And that should take care of that error that I did before. And we're returning a, oops. Let's see, I already have it all set up where it just returns true or false. I'm just going to return false. And I won't worry about it. Okay, and this is my, and here, down here in write array, this is where I write the text file back out again, and I write it with a space in between the first name and the last name. And this is where I read the text file in. It's this load array, and you execute it. You input a file name. It opens it up, reads it up, and uses the add friend function to make sure that it goes into the array in alphabetical order. All right, so that's my. Let's see. So if I should be able to. This didn't work. When I entered a new name, this should have popped out. Shouldn't it have? So let me see what's the matter. Let me just quickly see what's the matter with that. I added a new name. It added. Added a name. It added. It should have changed happened equals true. When change happens equals true, I have to enable the save button, don't I? And so this is the save button save file. Save file dot disabled. Enabled. Enabled equals true. Okay. Oh no, I can't have it out here because it's this out here is executed before this is even created. So so it has to be inside. So anything that messes with this out here has got to be inside an event handler. So the program has to be all loaded and sitting there in a happy, steady state, waiting for an event to occur, and then this thing is all there. Where I should put it is in the load handler. So that's here, and yeah, this is where it should go. This is where the false should go. But change happened. Let me see. Change happened is true. Whenever that happens, okay, this is how I do it. Sure, that's how I do it. So where's the, yeah, that works. Is that it? Yeah, it looks like that's it. Okay. Time is it? Okay, now that happened, and then I can save the file, and it should save, and let me exit. Oh, it should. Oh, after I've saved it, it should disable. So let me go here. Oops. Let me go here and double click on this, and when this happens, we saved it, and we should set change happened equals false, btn save file enabled equals change happened. All right. Anyway, all right, let me just try it here. Okay, the new name is there. Save file. Are you sure you want to rewrite? Yes. Now that happens. Close this. Okay. Now let's do the final part, and basically we are going to move what we think should be in classes into classes. And so I'm going to start by making a storage class. So I'm going to right click and do add new item, and it's a class file, and I'm going to name it storage. It automatically puts the .cs there, and I want to make sure I am in fact recording. Okay. Now we haven't talked too much about static classes and not static classes, but with static classes, you can make as many objects as you want of that class. That's regular objects. With a static object, you only make one. In fact, one is there. You don't have to do anything to make it. It's just there. And but otherwise, it works the same way. And so in this case, it's actually more appropriate that we make the storage class and the storage class be a static class, simply because we only want one array. You know, if we only need one. If we were going to have some objects, and then we're going to have an array of objects, or we're going to have many lists or something like that, then we would make it a regular class. In which case we could make more of them. But so I'm going to make these. So I'm going to make this a static class, and the way I do that is I go public static class this. Okay. I'm going to start by moving my array over. So I'm going to move this stuff over. I'm just going to copy. Okay. And then I'm going to let's see, what else should I move over? This is the, let's see, let me check my notes here. Okay, let me go back here. All right, I'm going to need a way to, oh, this is going to be private. Okay, now it's a static class, so these have to be declared static also. And by static, it means that the memory allocated for these things are allocated when the program is compiling and it's figuring out exactly the maximum amount of program space that this program needs. And if it's a regular class, then it could end up taking up no memory if an object is never instantiated of that class, or it can take up many times the memory that a class takes up. So we need these memory locations can be allocated at compile time, and so that's why they're static. We have to provide a way for us to get at the size, the number of elements in the array. So let's make a property. It's a public static, and it'll be an integer array size. I'm going to call it array size. It's more appropriate. And that and I'm going to allow get, and getting will just return first free index. And I'm going to allow setting at the moment. I can't remember if I need to be able to set it from outside. I don't think I do, but I'm just going to have this be here anyway. And there it's first free index equals an implied variable called value, which is the value coming in when you want to set the array size to something. Okay, now I'm going to have my method for adding a friend, and I'm just going to go over here, and I put these methods down here to copy over basically. So I've got this is an event handler. Down below here, these are all just private methods. There's valid name, so I'm going to copy valid name, add friend, find friend, delete friend, get friends, that returns that list of friends, this load array, which loads from the text file, and write array, which writes back out to the text file. So I'm going to copy all these, Control C, and go over here and just paste them right here, Control V. Okay, now I gotta make all of these things static. So I'm just gonna put that in here, here, find friend. This is delete a friend. This is return that string of friends to load into the list box. This will load the array, and this will store the array. This doesn't know what a stream writer is, so let's do some add that, and that makes that error go away. Okay, so it looks like this all went in fine. Now let's see how we can hook this up. We can actually just hook this up pretty much, I think. Let's see. Go down here, and I guess I don't really need this. I'll need that, but I don't need this anymore. And button name, new name that. Valid name is now, it's going to be a part of the storage. And this is how you use a static class. See, you don't create a new instance of it and give it a name and then refer to, you know, dot valid name from as a method off the object name that you created. It's actually off the name of it's actually off the name of the class itself. Now, why is this thing? Is it because it's not valid name? Oh, I know why. All of these have to be public, of course. I'm going to do global change, public. Replace, 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 replace. Okay. Right. That's private. That's public. What is this? I do. That's what this is. Okay. Now, actually, these don't have to be. These don't have to be public. I don't think. Let's see. Okay, let's go back over here. So that's fine. So I have to say that these are not in my in this class anymore. These aren't just private methods in this class. They're actually, you know, they're all actually often another class, another static class named storage, and so we're using that. And so that's populate list friends is in this one. This one is right array. Okay, this is going to be as in the storage. Oh yes, it does need to be public, doesn't it? This is exit. Yeah, this needs to be public. What was I thinking? Yeah, right. It is, I remember now. Okay, so and put that there. Here we've got get friends is in here. This is now storage array size, isn't it? This is from the method. In fact, you know what I should do is I should get rid of all of these, and then I'll have nice error squiggly lines to help me out. Now I've got error squiggly lines to help me out, so I'm going to pop that there. Find oh, I guess it's right array, load array. Okay, I don't add friend. Okay, I don't see any more squiggly lines, do I? Okay, so let's run this and see if it works. All right, I shall load a file, and let's load this one again. And there it is. It's got all those people. Is July Jones in here? No, July Jones not found. How about Jones of the Junii? June Jones. Ah, there's June Jones. Now, can I unfriend June Jones? Yes, I did. There it is, unfriended. Save the file. Okay, so it works, great. All right, so now we see, very simply, I have moved storage, I've moved a bunch of methods out into a different class, and see the idea now is the person that's the person or team that's working on the interface, you only have to know like how to deal with the interface, and you have to know about these methods. You have to know about how to. There's going to be this method here where you add the name, but you don't need to know anything more than that. You don't need to know how this is implemented. You don't need to know where or anything else. All you need to know is that there's a storage class, and the public view of the storage class is all these methods that it provides me. And so populate list friends. So we have to know about that because populate list friends asks the storage method for the list of names, and then it populates the list box. So you're gonna have to know the person that's doing this has got to know how to populate the list box, of course. You got to know about message boxes, dialog boxes, but this is an exit button, and all you need to know is that it's you're writing the storage. This is probably returning something, and it's probably an error, so you should probably test and display a message box if you want to. The exception would be handled down here. Okay, here's loading the form, populating. Here we're just getting the list out of storage, and then we're gonna populate it up. Okay, all right, so okay, now for the last part of the assignment, I ask you to actually separate these out into separate classes, and that way we can have a separate class that deals with whether we're doing a text box or we're doing a CSV file. So how do we do that? Well, let's create one class that's got these in it that interfaces to the text file, and then create another class that's got just these in it, and that interfaces to the .csv file. And then I'll take them out of this class and put them in those other classes. So to do that, I'm going to do right click, and I'm going to add a new class, and I can do this right down here, add class. And I'm going to do file text, because this will handle my text file. And so it'll be a public static and file text. And let me just grab, no, I'm going to leave these here because that's how this accesses them. But this does not need to know that actually we're going to pass this off to another class. So first of all, let me just copy this. Doesn't really matter how we do this, but we can leave them in here, or we can move the whole thing into another class. Let's copy this and move it over into this class. And that's right, they're public, and I'll leave this over here. And so this, I got to do quick actions, system IO, pop that right up here. And so now all these work. This is now storage. And this is storage dot array size. And this is this is accessing the array directly, isn't it? Oh no, we're writing out to the. Oh, we're writing this out to. Oh, all right. I'm going to do something fancier. I don't like. Well, it doesn't matter. Instead of having this thing access the array, I'm going to have it where it's passed in as a parameter, a string. I'm going to call it array friend, array names or something. Okay, so I'm going to pass this in as an array, and I'm going to put that here. Okay, so when you pass arrays, you're passing by a reference, which means it doesn't really make it. This doesn't really make it any safer because you can mess with it down here, and it's going to mess with it where it's coming from. But okay. So let's leave it like this. And so now over here, instead of this, let's use our methods. So I'm going to do file text dot load array file name. Okay, so we're just passing it down to one more class, and here we can also do the same thing. File name, comma, array, friends. So we're passing the array to this method, and we're actually just returning what comes back, and what comes back is going to be either the exception or nothing. Okay, so we've taken these two methods out of the storage method. Actually, we've taken the guts out of it. We've just accessed it this way. Let's see if this works. So let me load a file. I'm still doing text files here, and so I can add one. I don't know. Okay, so there's one more that's added, and save the file. Yes, and if I go look at it. It is this one, and it looks like this. Okay, it's in there. All right, that's great. So now, got a little bit of time left. Let me exit this. Let's make another class that does exactly what this does, except for it does a CSV file. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to create one more class over here. Add class, and I'm going to call it file csv.cs. Okay, here it is, and it's a public static class, and I'm going to paste this in here, and this is just going to be CSV now. Got to do this stream writer thing again. Pop that up there. So I'm going to read in a CSV file. Okay, so it's this. I gotta first put one of these to read. I have to consume the column title row, the column titles line, and then I'm going to read line. Let's see, string new name comes in there. I gotta split this thing. String names equals new name dot split, and this time we're splitting on a comma. And let's just use the same variable name. New name equals names 0 plus a space plus names 1, the last name. And why is this squiggly? Oh, it's because I declared it up here. All right, and so yeah, okay, and then we add it that way. Okay, that takes care of reading in a .csv file. And what about writing a .csv file? Well, first of all, we got to write something. We have to write the column titles out, and so the column titles are going to be look something like this: first name, comma, last name. Okay, and then this is going to be first name, comma, last name. All right, there. So I'm going to save this, and let's here's my friends4.txt. I'm going to create a friends4.csv. I already have one there, but I'm just going to overwrite it. So this is the file I have been using. How do I create a .csv version of this? Well, I can I'll tell you what, let's do it this way. Let's do a pull up a spreadsheet, and let's go here, and I'm going to say first name, last name, and I'm going to say Joe Jackson, Charlie Wong, Ben Smith. Gotta get some females. Mary Johnson, Melissa Chang. All right, so I got some names here, and now I'm going to save it. Save as on my desktop. I might as well go down here and put it down right next to where all the other ones are. Oh, here, I'm going to make it a CSV, this one, comma, delimited, and I'm going to name it that. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to name it friends4-2, just to make it different, okay? friends4-2.csv, save, okay? Now it says some features of your workbook might be lost if you save it as a CSV file. Do you want to keep using that format? Yeah, sure. So now it still stays CSV. And now I'm done, so I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit because what Excel does is Excel actually grabs onto the file and doesn't let anybody else do anything with it. And I don't want that, because I want my program to be able to grab it and do something with it. So I got to quit this. So when I say quit, then it asks me again, do you want to save your changes to friends4. And the reason it's asking me this is because right now it's not going to save things like the width of the columns or the fact that there's a worksheet here with the name friends4-2 and so on. And it's going to ask me to change it to a .xlsx file, which I don't need to do. So I'm just going to say don't save. It's fine. The file is still the file that I'm looking for is there. Where is? I guess I got to go in here, in here, in here, in here, in here, in here, and here it is. And I can open it up as a text file. And you see here it is: first name, last name, Joe Jackson, Charlie Wong, Vince, whatever. So it's comma separated. Okay, now let's run. Oh, now. How do I switch over to do the other one? So I'm going to go over into storage.csv, and right here where it says file text, I'm going to change that to file CSV. And I'm going to change this to file CSV. Okay, so now we are not using the methods in this one, which is just a text file. We are instead using the methods in this one, which does CSV, C class CSV. It's all in the same namespace. This is the namespace. See, it's all the same namespace. It's just classes in the same namespace. Okay, let's run this. Start. And now, remember, we're doing CSV files now. So I better load up a CSV file because it's not going to understand if I select one of these other ones. So I'm going to do the one I just made. And here it is. And oh, look, it's alphabetical order because when I inserted it into the array, it's alphabetical order. And I can add some names here. What's going on? What happened? How did that happen? Did I switch something? I did something to make it. Wow. Anyway, let me save it. Yes, I want to rewrite it. And let me delete out Bruno Mars. Okay. Save it and exit. All right. So, you know, I should make it so this thing isn't enabled unless you selected something over here. That'd be a pretty cool thing to do. Anyway, so let's check this out. Oh, it's changed. Oh, now here we are. It's got the name I added. Oh, I added this name. And there's no Bruno Mars. All right. So, yeah. What happens if I click on this? Click on that. When you click on it, I'm going to say btn unfriend dot enabled equals true. And I'm also going to do where we select a name. That's in find friend. Find friend. Here we enable something, so let me do that there. And the load handler should disable it. Okay, let's see what this does. Okay, it's okay. That doesn't do anything. Okay, let's load up a file. And now when I click on it, look at that. Okay, now let me go, let me load the file again. Okay, now it's like this. Oh, why is this lit up? Oh, maybe whenever I load the file, this should not be. Yeah, see, that happens. Well, I could make sure that whenever I load the file, oh no, whenever I populate this, that's when I should unfriend it. Whenever this is populated, because then nothing's selected. But the other thing I should probably do, move now, is string error equals storage valid name. Oops, let's put this down here. Check to make sure that's a valid name, and only if it's a valid name as only if it's a valid name you do all this other stuff. Otherwise, you send back an error. Oh, otherwise you just return the error. Oh, you message box the error. But anyway, this isn't going to execute now because it should never, the other thing should work. Okay, so it can't do anything. You load it up. It's still that way. You select this, it says that. Let's say I load it up again. Okay, it unselects it. And if I do Ben Smith found, and then this is selected. All right, and I can unfriend him and he's gone. Yes. All right. Okay, it's 11:56. I've gotten you pretty far along. If you actually watch this video and stop, start it, you should be able to get it all to work for you. And I hope I've explained how it works also. And so I'm going to save this out just because I think it's a good idea. I'm going to do this one more time so you can see me do it. I'm going to exit, and this is my thing right here, and I've named it. I'm going to rename this final assignment done, although there might be some other little housekeeping things that I haven't done. Let me send this to a compressed folder, and I'm going to upload it to my Dropbox. And let me put this here, continue, and so that's it. And I will, good luck and turn everything in. If you need, if at the last minute you're stressed out and you'd like it incomplete, that's fine. Just let me know. I hope to see all of you next semester, and we'll make sure that you're prepared for that by the end of this course. At the beginning of next semester, there's going to have to be a couple-week review, so it should all be review for you folks. So if something should happen and you still need to finish up this semester, that would be a good time to do it. Anyway, I don't want to be an enabler, but thanks for the class, and I hope you enjoy your holiday vacation. Thanks for watching.